Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the JLJ podcast. It's your boy, Jack Memory. I'm here with my man, JVK.
How's it going, guys?
Also with Matho.
How's it going, guys?
And today, lads, what a massive last couple of minutes that was with the trade period. Absolutely huge. Trade radio was popping off, and we'll give you guys all the ins and outs of what's happened with the trade radio and over the last couple of days. But I think we've got to start, lads, with the Collingwood Football Club and what a shambles they have been over these last 24 hours and the disgrace that they put on their footy club. So, lads, let's start with probably the least, least good player at Collingwood. Phillips going to Hawthorn for pick 65. That's a big win for Hawthorn, in my opinion, lads. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think we spoke about it in the last episode as well. There'd been rumours of him going elsewhere for a little while. Very good wingman. I reckon he slides into Hawthorn's starting 22 now.
Yeah,
and for pick, was it 64 or 65?
65.
I've got 64 here.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
I'm
sure we'll get pushed back even further and further with all the father, sons, and academy players.
But yeah, pick 64 or 5, I should say, is an absolute steal, I reckon, for a ready-made player.
24 years old.
That's just what Collingwood's going through right now.
Yeah,
they're in the shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's good for his career as well. And obviously Hawthorn aren't the greatest team right now, but at Collingwood there were so many great midfielders, and he was still getting a run, but maybe not in the positions he wanted to half the time. I think he drifted forward a little bit back at times, so it'll definitely be better for his career. And I think, it's a steal, but I don't rate Phillips that much as a player. I said that last episode. I think I don't really rate him as a good player. But if you get a player who consistently has played footy the last few years for pick 65, you're going to take it every day of the week.
Yeah,
exactly.
And moving on to the most public one in terms of the interview that he did after this, Stevenson and Atu. We won't really talk about Atu because he was just, the add-on player.
You're going to attempt to.
That's why I've only put it. Yeah, that's why I put Atu, because I'm not doing his last name.
Nice.
So Stevenson, Atu, and pick 39 have gone off to North Melbourne. And North Melbourne giving 26, 33 and a future fourth rounder. So that is absolutely massive for North and their future.
Yeah, I think definitely Atu. He didn't play that many games. They didn't really give him a fair run this year. But Jaden Stevenson, obviously 2018 rising star. And as us lads say, if he can grow some balls and get a bit of a heart about him, I reckon he can still return to his rising star year. And for pick 26, 33 and a future fourth round, I think that's a very good pick.
Yeah.
Especially if future fourth round, I'd highly doubt if Collingwood actually took that to next year's draft.
I think it would just be used as a point system for them to get day costs, I'd assume.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I think he goes into North's team as best forward at North Melbourne, would you say?
Maybe most talented. Probably the most talented forward,
if he gets a good form, because he came out and said, I think it was in the interview that he was just had a one-off year, and this is how he gets treated for it. So if he can get back into some sort of form, like Matho said, grow some balls and play well, then he could definitely be North's best player and in the forward line and have a decent year, kick 20 plus goals. I reckon he will. That's what I'm saying right now.
Yeah, I'd assume
he'll kick 20 goals next 20 plus.
I reckon he'll use this for a bit of motivation. Almost.
Yeah, definitely.
Seems a bit cliche and whatnot, but I reckon the way that they've treated him, and obviously that very, very public phone call that's now come out with Barks, I think he'll use all of that as motivation to fuel his next year at North, obviously.
Yeah, of course. If you tuned in to the JLJ TikTok, you would have seen this posted for you guys yesterday on my views on the Stevenson deal, as I was really disappointed with the way that Collingwood and Nathan Buckley presented themselves in it. The fact that none of them really contact him at all, and it was always his agent having to tell him what the club were thinking. And then for, Buckley, to say, you weren't, giving your full self to the club. He didn't like that. And it's a poor day for Collingwood. And especially with this last year, lads, the biggest name to come out of the Collingwood for the last couple of years, Adam Treloar gone. Now, this is a big one, lads. So Adam Treloar, and they've gained pick 26 and a future second round pick, as well as 33 and 42 for.
Wait, no, it's Adam,
that's they're losing.
Adam,
that's what they're losing. Yeah.
No, Adam Treloar, pick 26, 33, and 42 for pick 14 in a future second round.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute robbery.
Mm-hmm. It shows how badly that getting off his books.
Yeah, exactly. 26 is not that much lower than what 14 is. And they're getting Adam Treloar as well, plus 33 and 42.
Yeah.
I think that's an absolute robbery. Future second round, we'll have to wait and see how good that is. But in saying that, obviously, to the Western Bulldogs, that creates a very, very scary midfield.
Yeah, you think about that midfield right now. Of course, Dunkley staying, so they'll have Dunkley, Treloar, Bontempelli, McRae, Smith, Liberatore, all running through that. All, that's 6 of them all there who would start improving pretty much every single midfield in the competition. So, probably have the strongest midfield in the comp next year. And, with the inclusions of Steph Martin, which we won't talk about really because he's not a great player, but, he'll definitely be able to help them and push Tim English forward. So big year for the Bulldogs, would think.
Yeah, definitely. I like the Stephen Martin pickup to help English. And with their midfield, do you guys really think, I don't think the Bulldogs really needed a Treloar. I think with what they could have done, they should have, not just saying this because I'm an Essendon supporter, but they should have given us Dunkley for for pick 6. I think that would have been very beneficial for them to. I don't think they need that many midfielders for me. I think, and I even think Dunkley for the 6th pick is generous, like generous. I don't know if he's worth a 6th pick. So in my opinion, they should have got that deal done. And that would have been good for Essendon and for the Doggies as well. But definitely, I wouldn't say the best midfield. I'm still taking Lions midfield over theirs, and even the West Coast one. But if they all gel together, then they definitely could be by the end of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Also, though, I think Dunkley. Yeah, I think you are right about that, VK. Like that's 6, or you'd arguably say 5 A-grade midfielders at the Dogs now. I don't know about Liberatore if you'd classify him as an A-grader, but he's definitely still a consistent player. And I think they probably should have got rid of Dunkley. 6 midfielders with that class, I think going to be hard to field a side with all of them on the paper. Like I don't know where you'd play all of them really. I don't think any of them are really used to playing out on the wing or anything. I know Jack McRae could possibly go out there. Dunkley might want to go out there for a bit of a change. But who knows, really? It's just sort of a guessing game now. I think Luke Beveridge has got some choices to make on where he plays them all. But correct me if I'm wrong. I thought Fedoro was only offering pick 8 and wasn't going any higher than pick 8 forward.
You may be right, but I believe it was 6, but I could be wrong. But even 8, I still think 8's generous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, it doesn't even matter. Bulldogs were not budging on just, even if Essendon often picked 6, Bulldogs weren't having none of it. They wanted 2 first round picks. So
I don't understand why they'd keep him. I don't get it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to beat the club.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a bit crazy, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, that's a good segue. Josh Dunkley not getting his way to Essendon. A couple of players did get their way to Essendon, though. Dry Caldwell, a lot of discussion around him. Of course, pick 11 2 years ago on the draft, got dropped 4 times by GWS this year. Ends up getting his way, and Don's looked about giving away a future second round pick for him. And I think, something else along with that. So that's not a bad one for Essendon at all.
Not
Pretty
at all.
even.
And I think definitely is it I mean, you couldn't really say that he's a ready-made player or anything, but obviously Essendon see something in him that they want to bring him to the club for a reason. And a future second round, I think you said, Jacko. I think that's you could almost say it's a steal.
I wouldn't say
what
steal.
pick
He's
did he
not a
go?
very good player. Pick 11, but he got dropped
Not
4
yet.
times this year by GWS. And GWS
Yeah,
very
so-
poor this year, so...
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
hit or a
Yeah,
miss,
good
Matho.
point.
As you always say, a bit of a hit or a miss. I
Yeah,
reckon. Just never know.
yeah, exactly.
Might as well
Yeah.
take the punt for
Mhm.
Time will
not really
tell.
give it up much,
Really?
so might
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But coming out of Aston, Fantasia finally got his move away. A lot of talk coming out of this one. The main man was trying to get Wines and Rosie and all that stuff for him. But
Love it.
Fantasia has ended up going to Port Adelaide with pick 73 for pick 29 and a future third rounder. So I think that's probably fair for both clubs.
Yeah. I'd definitely be happy as an Essendon supporter for that. I honestly don't see Fantasia as a outstanding footballer. On his day, he's all right, but I think pick 29 and a future third is I'd be pretty happy with as an Essendon supporter.
Definitely happy, but he's had moments when for a couple of seasons that he was very, very good. And if he can get back into that form, if he can go forward and help out their forward line when Dixon gets a bit low and Lucas Gray stops playing for a bit, Butters is still young, then I don't know. It could be either really right now based on current form. It's an awesome deal for Essendon. Absolute, I reckon a steal for pick 29. But if he gets back into form or in any sort of form, then we could be looking back at that trade in a few years' time, being like that's amazing what Port could have done. But Essendon, it's not really their fault because he's wanted to leave for the past 2 years. So we'll take pick 29 for that, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I do remember going to a game with you a couple of years ago, VK, when Fantasia kicked 3 or 4 at Marvel Stadium. So he's definitely got the ability to kick a lot of goals. It's just a bigger consistency back in his game. But I guess the biggest move out of Essendon, the one that happened a couple of days ago, Adam Sard finally got his move to Essendon. So Sard, 48 and 78, gone to Essendon for pick 8 and 87. So what are your two thoughts on that, considering both are heavily involved in that?
Adam Sard to Carlton as well, Jacko. I believe you said to Essendon.
No, I said from Essendon, didn't I? What did I say to?
So I think it was 2, but we'll move on.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh well, shit happens. I mean, pick 8 was obviously always in the equation for Sard, and 87 as well. I think that's just I highly doubt that Essendon would take that pick to the draft. But for Sard, 48 and 78, I'm very happy with. Obviously, he was the number 1 target for Nick Austin in this trade period, taking over from Sauce, and I'm very happy that he got his man that he wanted. I mean, definitely a ready-made halfback, and 48 and 78, I'm also pretty happy with for 8 and 87.
Very fair deal, I think, for both teams. Obviously, wanted to go and to get pick 8 out of him. Some people say that's fair. I'd say that's fair. Just pick 8. He's a better player than Dunkley, so put that into perspective. But I reckon a 12-13 would have been perfect for Saab, but obviously we had the 8th pick, so Cullen had the 8th pick. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with that. But I don't think it's really functioned of how much we're going to miss Sard. I was just reminiscing back on a few games this year, and he was the only player in a lot of those games that literally did anything. But we're turning a new leaf, going in a new direction. He doesn't seem to wants to be a part of it. And yeah, so get rid of him, get the 8th pick, and move forward from there. I like it.
Now, probably, lads, the biggest trade of the year, maybe one of the biggest trades of all times in terms of the amount of picks that are involved. Jeremy Cameron, absolute superstar, and 2 future second-round picks have made their way to Geelong for pick 13, 15, and 20. So, Geelong were very adamant they weren't going to give up 3 of their top picks, but they've ended up having to give them away. But they're getting 2 future second rounds, one of them from GWS and one of them coming from another club. I think it may have been one of Essendon's in the Caldwell deal as well, going that way. So, Yeah, what are your thoughts on this one, lads? I think this is a win. You know, Jeremy Cameron, absolute star, who really cares about
Yeah.
13, 15 and 20.
Definitely a win. I think that creates a very, very scary forward line with obviously the past two winners of the Coleman medalist. 2 future seconds as well. That's pretty good. And next year's draft is prized as a very good draft, apparently.
Probably a safer draft, you'd think.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. 13, 15, and 20. Obviously, 3 first-round picks. I think that's fair. He's already made big full forward, and if they can get him as a consistent player, I think it's a big win for Geelong.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think with the picks too, especially in a draft like this year, I think there's a big difference between those 3 picks and the Essendon 3 picks. I think the top 10 in the draft seeming like they're going to be absolute guns, and there's probably going to be a fair few guns that go late as well. But maybe not. Maybe the difference between this year's 10 to 30 is a lot less quality than what it has been and what it probably will be in the future. So I think that's a massive win for Geelong, especially where they're at right now. They don't need those picks. They're going to be back in the premiership contention next year for the next couple of years, and they need to be there, or then they need to win one in the next 2 years. And I think Jeremy Cameron with Hawkins, that is scary up forward.
Here's a talking point for you boys. Obviously, this year's draft is boys our age getting drafted. Do you reckon that, like, we see it as it is and saying there's not that many amazing picks to go in this year's draft because we somewhat know more about this year's draft because we've grown up with them pretty much?
Yeah, you never know. You always have to take the expert's opinion into it. Of course, as they said, the top 5 are going to be absolute stars. You know, a lot of father-sons and academy play, especially from the Bulldogs and stuff like that, coming out of this. So you're just never really going to know. And of course, no TAC Cup this year, none of that. Makes it really hard to decide if one player is good or not. So you have to go off pretty much last year's form and last year's talent, and you know what they can do at the draft combine and all that stuff like that. So makes it really difficult to decide how good someone actually is, because you know, like one of the superstar players, talent-wise, could have spent this whole year, really slacking off and not training, losing a lot of fitness, and then the opposite, some guy who may not have had a heap of talent, may have been out there every day in lockdown, training every day at the footy oval, kicking and stuff like that. So, as I said, a lot of uncertainty around the draft, and you could get an absolute star late in the draft, I think, this year.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Back on the
suppose it,
Oh, so you go.
Yeah, as we say, BK, it's a hit and a miss, and we won't tell until a few years' time.
So you can't. Matt Rowe's the only player that there was pretty much some sort of level of certainty that he was going to be a gun over maybe for the most part of the last few years, really. So it's always a hit and miss with the draft, really.
Yeah, exactly. But on the Cameron deal, a man who will be delivering the ball to him that will help him kick goals is Sean Higgins. Also going to Geelong for pick 30, which seems probably about right. Of course, 32 years old. Probably got one more year left in his prime, and then the next year after that, and if he gets another year, which he might not, he's got a 2-year deal right now at Geelong. So fair, I reckon, for that one. What about you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I reckon fair. I reckon if they can get, obviously, as you said, Jacko, a 2-year deal signed. If they can get a full 2 years out of him, that's a very, very good or very big W. I wouldn't put it past him signing on for another year at the end of it if he does perform.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, 35, you're probably looking at the end of your career. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think if he can stay fit and perform like he has the past few years at North, I think it's a very, very good trade.
Definitely perfect for Geelong, I think, as well. Just with the players that they pick up and what they need. With a couple of these pickups, I'm starting to swing my early next year predictions. Just in the way of Geelong, I'm thinking of them for the granny, them and West Coast, who I'm leaning to at the moment, and obviously Richmond's in the conversation. But if Geelong's going to do it, they're going to have to do it pretty soon. I'd say, even though Jeremy Cameron, how old's Jeremy Cameron?
28, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's not young, is he? He's
I think 20. Yeah, so he's probably got 2 or 3. I guess years to be an absolute superstar.
Years, I think.
And then of course, key forwards can be good. I think Hawkins right now is 33 or something, and he's in probably the prime of his career. So key forwards can stay.
Can last a bit longer than what midfielders can. Hey.
Yeah. But speaking of Higgins, another Higgins, Jack Higgins, has left good old Richmond with pick 21 and a future 4th pick to St Kilda for pick 17 and a future 2nd. So I reckon both teams have done pretty well here.
Yeah.
This one. What do you guys think?
I think pick 17 for Jack Higgins is, it's fair.
You're also getting 21 in return, so
yeah, exactly. So it's
not too much of a change.
Yeah, and I think I reckon this is almost going to be a bit similar to a Dan Butler sort of situation. Struggling to make it into the Richmond side, obviously, with the small forwards that they have. And obviously, he's had a fair few injuries with his head and whatnot in the last year or so. So I think if they can get him right and into the right system, I suppose that he probably could be how many goals did Dan Butler kick? 30-goal player or something like that. So
yeah, I don't think he's good as Dan Butler. I think he's more of a he's a better ball getter than Dan Butler, but not a forward.
Very even for both teams. I think we've seen from last year how well St Kilda have recruited. So you just never know. They might see something in him that other people haven't seen, just like Butler and a bit like Jones and stuff. So you never know. I don't think he's going to make anywhere near the impact that Butler or their recruits from last year are going to make. But I also think Richmond done great. So I think it's very, very fair deal. Because the thing with Richmond can get rid of a player like that. It's not going to make any effect with how much depth they have. There could be 10 players on that team that go in and out of the team. When people get injured, and they could just ship off for a deal like that. So,
So I guess moving on to another fan favourite from Jack Higgins, Aaliyah. Our man Benny Horse's boy is gone to Port Adelaide for a future 2nd round pick. Horse absolutely shattered about this one. I said I think Sydney are lucky to get a future 2nd round pick out of him. I don't think he's a great footballer, but Horse adamant he's a superstar. So, what's your thoughts on this one to help out Port's, short defence?
Yeah, honestly, I think a future 2nd is almost a bit of a robbery, almost. Definitely
on his day. A future 1st, you reckon?
No, well, at least 2 future 2nds, and not just one. I reckon not a 1st round pick or anything like that, but I think at least 2 or 3, and maybe that 3rd pick being a late 80-odd or something like that. There's obviously a lot going on behind the scenes that you don't really see, like 87 and stuff, like you say, Jacko, is probably just for a father-son points and the point system and all that.
So players,
yeah, and I can't really see Sydney as looking into stuff like that. So I thought he would have been worth at least 2 future 2nds. I think he's not. A lot of people in comments and stuff are saying that he's worth a little bit more. So I tend to agree with them. I think he's on his day, crashing packs and stuff like that. I reckon he's pretty good, and I think he fits right in at Port.
Do we get into is he a guarantee in the squad though? I also Horse, if you're watching, which he's
I
not
think
watching.
I don't think he's watching top here.
But if you're watching,
minutes, so then
can we get a RIP Aaliyah in the chat?
Yeah. Okay, well, as I said in a group chat a couple of days ago, he will lose you more games than wins. You've seen countless times.
I don't know if he's that bad.
Well, no,
he's not that bad.
Have you seen the amount of times that he's tried to kick the ball out of defence and kicked it straight to a player who's only in a goal?
Fair point.
Like, he will never win you a game. He will never take, Jeremy Cameron and cut him out of the game and win you the game like that.
No, but then again, you could also, but that's not really his role. He's not a key defender, is he?
Well, he is. What is he then? If he's not a key defender, what is he?
He's just a tall defender. You're not putting it, but you're not.
No,
exactly. In all seriousness, you're not putting him on the big forward.
Just like Jeremy McGovern. Don't chuck him on a...
Yeah, well, Jeremy McGovern's a star. Aaliyah isn't, is he?
Jordan Ridley. He's a bit of a
No,
Jordan
but we're
Ridley.
not comparing him. I'm just saying that
Jordan Ridley's better than Aaliyah as well.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh shit! But you're not putting Aaliyah on Jeremy Cameron or Tom Hawkins when Port Adelaide played Geelong, are you?
Well, you definitely take one of the two key defenders. You know, you say McKenzie takes the, you know, if we go to, so let's say we're playing Geelong, Aaliyah probably has to take Gary Rowland in this situation. If McKenzie,
Yeah, exactly. So he's not taking a key forward, is he?
Well, she probably has to take Hawkins, if we're being honest, because Jonas isn't strong enough, and Jonas ends up having to take.
Jonas played on him both games that they played him this year.
Yeah, and he McKenzie played on him half the time. He should have kicked 6 both times.
Well,
yeah,
Jacko's right. Jacko's always right.
He is.
Yeah, we will
Jacko.
watch Aaliyah struggle at Port Adelaide. Okay.
I reckon he's
You
having
know what? We need to get Horse onto this podcast right now.
Get him
to
on.
back me
Where is
up in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You give him a call, he's not answering, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll communicate with him unless you're in person.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that he can have a bit of an impact at Port Adelaide.
Okay,
We'll see how it goes.
We'll have a little impact, but I guess a man who will help replace Aaliyah, Tom Hickey, coming in to Sydney for a future third-round pick. Well, there's actually a lot of picks involved in this one, but I wasn't going to put him down because it was really, really confusing. But, you know, pretty much Tom Hickey for a future third-round pick, you know, which will be good for Sydney. You know, of course, they didn't get their young ruckman that they were looking for. You know, they tried to get Laddams, tried to get Marshall. None of those guys were budging, so they've had to decide on Tom Hickey. You know, who isn't a great player, but, you know, we'll do all right at Sydney.
Sydney, yeah, it's a decent acquisition.
I mean, you don't really hear much about Tom Hickey week in, week out.
Well, because he doesn't play, because as they say, I think there's a reason this is his 4th club.
Four club man, what a beast!
He is a 4 club man.
Different postcode. He loves a different postcode rule.
He does love the different postcode rule.
And another man from a different postcode, Alex Witherden, which is a big one to a lot of Brisbane supporters. Disappointing we're losing him. Alex Witherden and pick 86 going to West Coast for pick 58 and a future third-round pick. So
steal.
It is a steal. Of course, he didn't make it into Brisbane's best team pretty much for the entirety of this year. But you have to think about Grant Birchall will retire at the end of this year. You know, Rich has 2 years left in him, maybe 3. So, you know, I guess puts a big weight on some of other Brisbane's defenders coming through, like Ainsworth, Starcevic, Achie, players like that, to really step up. And Alex Witherden's an elite ball user, you know, isn't an absolutely great player, but yeah. Why are you two laughing? What is this?
Just get looking at him.
Oh, no. VK's just sitting here with his head just going, bouncing up and down. I just couldn't take him seriously for a second.
I was nodding. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, VK agrees. What's your thoughts on the Alex Witherden deal then, VK?
Haven't watched much of him, not gonna lie to you. You know, those for a young player, those picks are, I think West Coast have done awesome, but
yeah, they have.
If he doesn't make it into Brisbane's team, I don't see him making into West Coast team, not for now, or maybe
he'll play in West Coast team.
In it, you reckon?
Mm-hmm. He's their long-term replacement for Shannon Hearn. Yeah. And they are looking to move Liam Duggan more into the midfield, as, you know, apart from their star players, got really no depth in there. So they moved Duggan in there, allows for them to come in.
Fair enough. You're the expert.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not the expert. It's just I've listened to a lot of experts. If you listen to a lot of experts, I can just relay what they're saying.
No, VK is right. Jacko is always right. You can't argue with him. You scroll through.
He's only facts. There is
exactly.
There is only facts.
Jacko does not wear any caps. There's no cap with Jacko.
Mm-hmm. Another man who was wearing no cap, Benny Brown.
They don't.
Well, I had a perfect segue into every other player, but I had to get.
You actually have. I'll give it.
Imagine you trying to
Jacko, hats off to you, mate, because you've absolutely nailed all these segues
Hats
into
off.
people.
But you know what? That's why I get this one
That's right.
works. Because of his hair, he can't wear a cap. So,
Yeah,
Benny Brown, the man who cannot wear a cap, him and Big 28, they've made their way to Melbourne for Big 26 and 33. Lads, what are our thoughts on this one here?
Beautiful work from the D's. I reckon that they're desperate for some help in the forward line. I reckon him and Wiedemann are going to work well together, especially at North. I think he struggled this year because all the attention went straight to Ben Brown because they had nothing else in the forward line. With Wiedemann, players like Melksham and Fritsch, they pronounce it, up there as well.
Fritsch.
I think there'll be less attention of him, and he'll be able to get back into the form that he was in near Coleman. Did he end up winning a Coleman? Or near kind of medal winning?
He's come second,
second and
fourth.
Yeah.
In his last 3 years.
Close to that form, hopefully for the D. So I reckon that could be pretty dangerous. I reckon that's a really good acquisition for the Demons.
Yeah, he should have won it, last year? I remember Cameron kicked 9 in the last game.
Oh, that always happens.
Gold
Always
Coast
a Buddy Franklin move, that one.
Always happens.
Always.
Damn,
yeah,
bro.
Ben Brown is a good player, and although it was poor this year, was carrying an injury, obviously, and him, Jackson, and Wiedemann will make a very scary forward line, I reckon. Good young players in Jackson and Wiedemann. Okay, what are your thoughts on Jackson?
Good guy. Isn't he even a player? No, he's got long hair.
Yes, he was like their pick 8 last year. A very good player.
Yeah, I got him. No, I got him.
Is Jackson his first name or his last name?
Last name, because he wouldn't say his first name.
Yeah.
So
good work.
brains.
No, do you reckon that Ben Brown is the final piece of the puzzle? Obviously, Melbourne have been after their lackluster of a year against West Coast in that prelim final, and then all of a sudden recruited pretty well the last 2 years, and on paper they looked like a good side, but never really actually performed. Do you reckon this is a final piece of the puzzle for them to push for competitive side in finals now?
I definitely think so. I think they'll be, again, very close to finals this year. I don't know. I don't know if they'll make it yet. We'll have to wait to see if they do anything at the draft or anything like that. So, I think they've pretty much got all the pieces sorted. Maybe a better rebounding defender than Salem is probably all they're missing at this moment, and maybe an elite small forward. But apart from that, they've got the midfield. Stephen May has been great for them down back.
Yep.
Sam Wiedemann's going to be a star, and Ben Brown, of course, if he stays fit, will be a great player for them. And, of course, the midfield is already very, very strong. So I assume they'll be very good next year.
Yeah, no cap.
I see them making finals. I see them making finals next year. I reckon there's going to be a few surprise teams not to make it as well. I see Freo definitely pushing it. And
Freo, a bit of a quiet period, really, considering if they're trying to make it. They didn't bring anyone in. They didn't really lose anyone either. I mean, they lost Hogan.
Jesse Hogan.
Yeah, but said Hogan wasn't in their best team for a lot of this year. So, pretty much the same year. And, of course, they'll have Chera, Brayshaw, Sarong all another year under their belt. If Taberner, even though he's old, will he stay with the same ability?
He will.
We think so?
He will. He'll come top 5 Coleman next year.
Top 5 Coleman as well. Walters stays fit the whole year. Nat Fyfe, obviously, absolute superstar. If they keep their defence right, which, their defence hasn't got any really great players in there. Brian's a good player, especially getting the ball. Don't know defensively wise, but looking strong next year, and they'll definitely be pushing, I reckon. So is there anything else? So, lads, we'll do a quick one. Who do you reckon has won this trade period? Who has done well done this trade period and gone, yep, we've done well here?
The doggies.
Doggies have done well.
I'd go for the doggies.
This is going to be biased, but I think Carlton, honestly.
Now you reckon Colton, Sard and Williams, of course, for including free agencies.
I take it back.
And,
It's Cats.
Cats.
Yeah, Cats actually.
They won it.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron, Higgins, and that's
Smith in the early stages.
Yeah, and
Free agency.
exactly. I think that's a big trade period.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, well, of course, and we all know our biggest losers, Collingwood, just really, really, really struggled. Well, that's that's something else. And I think that's the perfect cue to end it here, lads. Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode. Of course, Mr. May, your Melbourne boys have done a very good job as well over this period. So big shout outs to you being a number one fan, probably for the last month. We're really helping the boys out. So make sure you tune in next week as more stuff we'll be talking about. Get ready, some big IRL videos coming up later in December, pushing into next year. So get excited for that. And cheers, guys, for listening.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.